When it comes to BPD, no one size fits all. And so in today's video, I want to talk to you about the petulant borderline and about what the signs and symptoms are for this specific subtype. Before getting into the signs and symptoms of the petulant borderline, I firstly want to address what the heck petulant even means. So petulant means someone who is rude in speech or behavior. It also refers to someone who is childlike and bad-tempered. Okay, so the first symptom that we're going to talk about today, and this is one that's a major theme for the petulant borderline, is anger. Now, those with this subtype tend to have very angry outbursts. They will hold resentment and have misdirected anger. So you can imagine someone with this subtype getting really angry about something and misdirecting the anger to those around them. Another indication of having this subtype would be the inability to express emotions. So they may have a very hard time expressing and understanding emotions, and emotions also tend to get homogenized into anger. So for example, if they feel sad, it's anger. If they're frustrated, it's anger. If they're bored, it's anger. So because things tend to get generalized always to anger, it's very hard for them to break apart what's actually going on inside. Another symptom that we see with the petulant is feelings of being unworthy and unloved. And because they feel unworthy, they might tend to find ways to feel unloved by others, and this will come and create chaos within their inner relationships. So they will have a tendency to self-sabotage, to have these self-fulfilling prophecies where they enter relationships with toxic individuals who can't love them, to reinforce these beliefs that they have about themselves. The fifth symptom of the petulant borderline is this fear of abandonment. And I'm aware that this symptom is very common in most people who have BPD, but with the petulant borderline, it might be even more intense than the other subtypes. So they might stay in toxic relationships out of fear because they're so scared of being left by others that they will neglect their own needs just to have this sense of love and validation. Another common symptom that we see with the petulant borderline is this need to control others. So they often need to be the person in control. They will often point out other people's flaws and problems, and they use this as a way to avoid abandonment. We can also see this in the light that they feel so out of control of themselves that they then need to control those around them to give them a sense of power in their lives. This relates to my next point, which is substance abuse or eating disorders. So when we think about someone who has a lack of inner control, they may then externally lack control with drugs or alcohol or eating, and we see this as very self-destructive behavior in the petulant borderline. The eighth symptom would be paranoia, so feeling as though others are out to get them, that they're going to do something or act a certain way, so we have a lot of rumination and overthinking that goes on. The next symptom, which is this constant search for validation, ties back to this fear of abandonment as well as these feelings of being unworthy and unlovable. So I do think that every single human being on this planet is looking for validation to a certain degree. I do, however, think that this is worse for those with BPD and more specifically with the petulant subtype. So once again, they will stick in these very toxic relationships because they're so desperate for this validation and acknowledgement from others. The last symptom for the petulant subtype would be using passive-aggressive behavior. Now, this is a behavior that can be learned in early childhood, or it's something that we use as a defense mechanism. And so for those with this specific subtype, they may use this when they feel belittled or when they feel that they're not being heard or that they can't speak their truth. And because they have a hard time understanding their emotions, they revert back to this very defensive way of communicating. Once again, I want to reiterate the fact that these subtypes are not officially recognized by the DSM, and so you don't need to put yourself in these specific boxes. It's okay if you have symptoms from one or two or all four of them. This is just a way to help you better understand yourself and to hopefully help you explain yourself better to others who don't really understand what it's like to have BPD. With all that being said, I truly believe that BPD is highly treatable as long as individuals are willing to take responsibility and get treatment. All of us are going through something in our lives and all of us need to work on something. BPD is no different. If you found this video useful, be sure to give it a like, and if you're not already, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button down below as well as the bell notification up top, because the more people who are subscribed, the more people who watch my videos, and the more people who watch my videos, the more we help down to break down this stigma surrounding BPD. On that note, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you back here next week for another episode of On the Line.